Hey, Samil. Hi, Dinara.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi.
How are you guys today?
Pretty good.
Good. How are you?
I'm terrific. Thank you. I am so happy to have you young women with me today. Can you introduce yourselves
Oh.
to our audience? Samil, you want to go first?
Sure. Hi, my name is Sunil Austin. I'm a second year at UCR, and my major is psychology. And I'm
Why did that
20
make
years
you
old.
laugh? Wait, why did that make you laugh?
Oh, because I'm changing my major, so
Oh,
I'm, thinking what my current major is, but really I'm on the psychology path.
okay.
So,
I'm going to stop. I'm going to let us keep going there because I could go down a whole bunch of different paths, but go ahead.
and I'm 20 years old, so I'm Gen Z.
Awesome. And Samel, where are you actually from, though? I know you are in Riverside, California right now, but where are
Yes.
you actually from?
So I was born in Marin in California, but I feel like I was mainly raised in Texas. Most of my education was done in Houston up until
Okay.
my last few years of high school. I was in the Bay Area of
Awesome.
California.
Awesome. And I take it you're not married, you don't have any kids, you haven't told me about, you know.
No, not really, no kids.
All right, Dinar, what about you?
Yeah, my name's Sonara. I'm also a second year, also 20 at UCR. I'm majoring in public policy. I have a minor in philosophy. I'm also here in Riverside, but I grew up in a suburb of Chicago, and I was born and raised there until I came here for school.
Awesome. 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 All right. Well, we're going to jump in, ladies. Samil and I know each other very well. She is actually the daughter of my Gen X guest in resident, Tanisha Tate Austin, and Paul Austin, her father. And Denara, I am just having the privilege of meeting through Samil. So, super excited about this conversation. Samil knows, Denara, that I am an absolute TikTok, Instagram addict. I mean, I am ashamed to admit it, but I do have a problem. So I get a lot of my topics from looking at TikTok and IG. And one of the ones that has really been popping up in my feed is this idea of the soft life. And I actually consider myself to be living the soft life, but I have earned that soft life. And that is, I am retired. So I get to get up when I want to most of the time, do what I want, which is doing this podcast for the most part. But while there are a lot of connotations I see out there about the soft life, the primary ones, two that I see, are related to, first of all, women who are living what I would consider more traditional lifestyles, and they are admitting that they're what they call tradwives, where men are going out and being the breadwinners. The women are staying at home, and when I say women, that is wife and or girlfriend, cooking, pampering their husband, wearing feminine clothing, very floral, frolicking in the outside, in the grass and, making homemade bubble gum. I did literally see Nora Smith just had on TikTok where her sister came to town and she made her homemade bubble gum. I mean,
I saw that.
what is happening here? I mean, seriously. And I'll be honest, as a baby boomer, that scares the crap out of me for women. It makes me fearful of women going to a place where we are losing a lot of what we have gained in terms of equality. And so, I want to talk a little bit more about where you young women are on that and your friends and what your thoughts are. But this soft life era or agenda is not just for women, but it is also Gen Z and millennials seem also men and women to be quite preoccupied with this lifestyle. And what they're saying is that they are feeling like they are never going to be able to afford to buy a home or retire at a reasonable age, that they saw their parents get screwed over by their employers, And so they are not going to be, as they say, leaning in or girl bossing or trying to have it all. They want to do what makes them happy. They want to work less stressful jobs. They want to be underemployed or working what is being called the lazy girl job, which gives me hives. First of all, the word lazy and anybody aspiring to be lazy, I find repulsive, but that's just my opinion. They are moving back home, and some of them have the attitude of their parents have done well for themselves, and so they'll just wait to inherit. So basically, they're kind of like, I'm going to chill and kind of hang out until, my parents start passing down stuff. What do you girls think? What are you hearing? Where are you on this? Talk to me.
Um, do you want to go first, Dinar, or
Oh, I can go first. Yeah, sure. I feel like there's like a lot of different things being said, and I feel like they're each pretty distinct in their own. Like, I wouldn't consider someone who is interested in like the trad wife or like traditional wife lifestyle to also be interested in like the lazy girl job, which I personally have not heard until right now. But
neither have I.
yeah,
Look
I've
it
never
up.
heard that. Okay, okay, I will for sure. I think those are pretty distinct in themselves, especially since, from my understanding of the trad wife, is to build your own family and have that be your primary role and like purpose in life versus like the lazy girl from like how you described it is more about inheritance and not really considering a classic or, for lack of a better term, traditional 9 to 5 work hour job.
Mhm.
And from my understanding, the traditional wife, I feel like, at least for my like, this may seem not as common of an answer, but I think it's just an option. I feel like that's like something that Gen Z really emphasizes is having the choice to choose what exactly it is that you want to do. And I feel like the traditional wife lifestyle, although people find it to be a bit counterproductive to the feminist movement, I feel like it is still a choice that people can make. And also, considering the amount of time and effort that goes into being a mom, I feel like is a job in itself. Those hours are never ending. You could get waken up by your baby at 4 a.m. There's absolutely no hours to that. You're working at all times. You're always a mom that doesn't turn off. You're always a wife that doesn't turn off. So I feel like that aspect of it, although it's not a monetized job or monetized position, they're still doing a lot with their life and making their goals possible. Because if that, like, if being a mom and a wife is your goal in life and you're doing it to the best of your ability, I feel like that's a choice you can have and it's a lifestyle you can have as long as you're understanding that there there are some drawbacks to that, which you kind of expressed earlier with like money, is like having only one person supporting a family is a difficult thing. So understand that there's drawbacks to it, but if that's your goal, that's your goal. And I think it's a nice choice to have.
Okay, so Denara, I'm so glad you're on the show. I love this perspective, and I do think that it. I certainly appreciate it. This idea of having the choice to choose the life that you want, and that everything is not a one size fits all. I guess where I become very concerned, and I do. Let me say this: I do think that being a stay at home mom, which I now see they have an acronym for that, SAHMs, for being an SAHM. It is, I'm telling you, listen, you girls are in school. I'm retired. Auntie is on TikTok and IG all day long and knows all the stuff that's going on. Um, but I certainly see that as an extremely challenging job. I guess where I get very concerned about there being this sort of what I consider to be a rollback for women of taking on these traditional roles is I think we need representation in the workplace. in order to ensure that we get more women who have more opportunities and that women do get to a place where they are being paid equally because we're still not being paid equally. Um, I guess it concerns me because um, what happens when uh, let's take let's take let's go on the side that says it's not that your husband decides he doesn't want to be married to you anymore and you've been out of the job market, but he gets sick and he can't work anymore. And your skills are now stale. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to work outside the home, but I guess I just wonder about the lack of investment in self. Does that not concern you guys at all? And I get people have the right to choose. I'm just saying, is that a choice you could see yourself making? And do you feel there's a risk? And Samila, I can see you jumping at the bit to say something.
Okay, well, I personally do not think I could be a trad wife. But I think I understand why some women choose this like lifestyle. I think that, for instance, like Nora Smith, she's talked about like why she chooses to be the stay-at-home mom and whatnot. And it gives her a lot of freedom in the sense of like she's doing what she loves, because she does like genuinely love to like cook and bake. And I think like she, at least in that specific instance, she can still apply those to the real world. Like she can become a baker. She's talked about, I think she's talked about owning her own bakery, or like possibly doing that in the future, like when her kids are much older. I think that with most of the trad wives that I've seen on like the internet, I think one, I think some of them kind of see it as like this is what I'm going to do when I have like my babies when their kids are young, and
Mhm.
then think about going into the work field, because I think a lot of current like Gen Z or whatever's above, millennials and whatnot, I think a lot of the trad wives of this era have degrees still.
Mhm.
Like I'm pretty sure Nora
Mhm.
Smith has a master's. Um, so I feel like it could be kind of a disservice to not enter the work field, but these are also women who are choosing to have kids at young ages and want to really focus on at least the beginning of motherhood.
Mhm.
So I personally think that like trad wife is definitely not something that a lot of people could do, that, and I don't think a lot of women especially want to do that. But I think that if someone does choose to have that, someone who, like, I think even a lot of like I think Kylie Jenner is someone who also could be a trad wife as well. I think she is someone who's always talked about wanting motherhood at a young age. And so I think it might be like, I can see that there's probably a lot of repercussions down the way for sure if
Mhm.
this is like something that woman is seen as like their forever thing. But I feel
Mhm.
like most of the ones that I've seen online, it's not a forever thing. It's sort of like a temporary, like until I'm done having kids or until their kids are in school.
I would agree with Samil on this, that like it's definitely not usually a permanent position. And I feel like the people, at least in the media, that have been very vocal about being a trad wife have already have a set financial stability that allows them to be in that position. My other point that I was going to bring up was that I feel like this is a very Gen Z thing to be overly dramatic about their life choices. So, it's been like a trend in like linguistics for like using very dramatic terminology as a joke or as like not actually to be serious. I won't get into all of that because the linguistic side is quite complicated,
So
but
is the joke on me? Is that what you're saying? That
I think it's just like a trend to be like very dramatic and like dramatic like use intense language to describe something not as intense as like they mean it to be. Like they use large words to mean something much simpler. And I feel like that is kind of the same here. Because although the idea of being a trad wife is like it's an appealing thing. It's like you don't have to worry about like things that happen in the workforce, like like the amount of stress that we're getting from trying to get these degrees is no longer a worry being a trad wife. But I don't see that many Gen Z actually going and becoming trad wives, at least like from my perspective, because like I personally don't think I would be either. I have a lot of like career goals that I'm interested in pursuing. But a lot of at least women, I think, or like anyone in that position, like they're interested in their career goals, and I don't really see them truly pursuing being a trad wife to the extent that like say Nara Smith is, because
they're
she
not
first
making
she
bubble
already had,
gum or
yeah,
homemade
making
peanut butter and
bubblegum.
jelly sandwiches for their children.
Yeah, they're her homemade Pop Tarts. Like, I feel like that isn't as feasible. And then another aspect of being Gen Z is that we're facing the burden, like economic burden of previous generations so intensely and so much more than other generations that although it may be like a fun little thing to laugh about being a trad wife, it's not as feasible because most of us are like drowning in college like student loans and like debt, and just the idea of not being able to pay that off is a bigger fear than the like dream of being a trad wife. I feel like that's very apparent even right now. So I would say I feel like though it's becoming popular in the media, it's a set specific type of person that's making it popular. Because Nora Smith, I'm pretty sure her husband is a model.
He
And
is,
he
and so is
definitely,
she.
yeah, I was gonna say Lucky Blue Smith, right? He's definitely financially stable to support like her and then their kids, but in like the sense that like I I'm not financially stable to support myself and like three other people. And if I were the trad wife, like I wouldn't be able to find another 20-year-old who is probably able to do like the same thing. Like we're all just like in college trying to figure out what to do, how to study for our next midterm, not like how am I going to support three other people or like more people depending on how many kids
So I
like that.
feel like what I hear you saying is that Gen Z, as you said, they tend to be dramatic and use a lot of superlatives. Maybe they picked it up from Trump. I don't know, right? The greatest, of all times, the most attended, or I don't know. So maybe I've sort of been hoodwinked by Instagram and TikTok, and thinking that there are really folks who are really trying to make this happen, and that I agree with you 100%. If you think about affordability of the soft life or trad wives for the masses, that is it's just not reasonable. And Samio, I would ask you, because we've really been talking about this from the perspective of a heterosexual couple, but what are your feelings that if your soon to be spouse, or not that you're engaged, but I don't want your parents seeing this and freaking out. No, Samil is not engaged,
You're
right?
not in-
But when you're at that point, if your partner said, "Listen, I want to live the soft life. I want you to go to work, and I'm gonna make you some homemade jelly sandwiches, and I'm gonna have on a cute flow dress when you come home, and my nails are gonna be painted, and I'm gonna have on red lipstick." Is that and obviously, obviously I am exaggerating. I'm behaving like a Gen Z, according to Denara. But I guess I'm asking, would that lifestyle appeal to you, in that you've got one person who is, and there are no kids yet, even, so let's not even put the kids in it, right? And I certainly, and let me say this, I highly value being a mom and the incredible, ridiculous amount of work, sacrifice, and commitment that goes into that. But I also am just trying to understand the possible execution of this lifestyle. So, how would you feel about that, Samil?
Um, Honestly, I feel like it would be the other way around. I would definitely love to be a trad wife. Just kidding. But I feel like I feel like at least in my relationship, I definitely think if anybody's going to be the trad wife, it would be me. Denora. Stop.
I'm
But
about the two of us.
um we even our friend group had talked about this, and they're always like, oh, like what if Claire told you like stay at home? And Claire's my girlfriend. But I think like I just couldn't do it. I feel like there would be too much boredom. Like I also think like as two queer women of color, I think it would, to achieve that trad wife lifestyle, like
Mm-hmm.
it would take a long time to
Mm-hmm.
like build up
Mm-hmm.
that financial support. I think
Mm-hmm.
already like well, there are a lot of like definitely there are some TikTok lesbian trad couples on there.
Oh, I haven't
Um
seen them. I've got to go look for them.
um but I think like a lot of times the trad wives that you tend to see um are either white or adjacent to whiteness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even like, even if they're not technically trad wives, but they're the like lesbian couples on TikTok who are rich, had their wedding, destination wedding, somehow were both able to afford IVF so that both of them can be pregnant at the same time. Like, those are like extremely rich, wealthy white women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think, like, I don't think that is, you don't see that many women, like women of color being trad
Mm-hmm.
wives. You don't see, and even like a queer adjacent to that, I don't think you would be able to see two women of color living a sort of like trad
Mm-hmm.
traditional or like soft life.
Mm-hmm.
So
So,
I personally think it would be difficult.
so I think what I hear you saying, and I talked to quite a few of my baby boomer mom friends and asked them what they thought about the soft life and trad wives, and I got things from lazy to hell no to wow, the world is really hard. And so I guess I have to be open to the fact that my kids may be making some different choices because we just live in a different world now, especially in terms of affordability. But one of the things that came up that you guys are saying is some of this socioeconomic though also, in that one of my friends said, I worry that we gave our children too much. And so they are not as driven to work harder. That I see, for example, my housekeeper's children are busting their butts, and not even the soft life is not part of their vocabulary. But my kids may be a little bit more inclined to that because they know that we have money to give them and to help them to live that life. So I do think what you guys are saying about affordability and socioeconomics is playing a role in this. I would also say that what I love that I'm hearing from both of you though, and that is what I hang my hat on in terms of hope about our society in general, is Gen Z seems to be intolerant of anything that is saying you have to be a particular way. You guys seem to be more saying people can choose whatever the hell they want, and why do you care? right? I mean, and I love that. I mean, it makes me feel hopeful about the future. It makes me feel like so many of the isms that we have seen, racism, sexism, all those things, that we'll slowly see those things erode and go away because your generation is just so much more intolerant of that bullshit, for lack of a better way to put it. And that makes me happy. Well, okay, ladies, I know you have midterms to get back to. So I like to close the show with what I call, well, lessons learned, and me sharing a bit of my knowledge. And I think more than anything today, I got schooled. So I think, I think the primary thing you guys taught me today was don't believe everything you see or hear on TikTok and Instagram, Auntie. Right? And what I love, and what makes me not afraid of where the world is going is, as I said earlier, Gen Z's commitment to we all have choices, and we should make those choices that best reflect how we want to live our lives. And I love that. And I would say every time I really get a chance to sit down with Gen Z folks, I feel much more confident about the world is going to be okay. So I'm
Oh,
so glad you guys came on. And I hope I didn't put too much weight on your shoulders by saying, Gen Z, go ahead and fix it all. But I'll let you get back to your midterms. And thank you so much for being here with me today.
No, thank you so much for the invitation.
thank you,
Absolutely. All
Tracy.
right. Talk to you girls soon. Bye.
Bye.